Well, the master of breaking down what's going on with mergers, acquisitions, consolidations, and liquidations has just dropped an article on Inman for us to cover. Mike Del Prete. Expect more of these mergers, acquisitions, consolidations, and liquidations. Cash is king, Del Prete says. In today's market, a company's cash flow determines if it's in control of its own destiny. I'm going to break down exactly what he's talking about in terms of some of these big companies that we all know about in our industry. Be thinking maybe along the way here of how you should be relating this to your business. Where can you get
Mm-hmm.
more cash? We'll touch that here in just a minute. Let's show the first chart that Del Prete has here in his article, and he's calling this predators and prey. Okay, so there's either going to be some predators going out looking for these acquisitions
Mm-hmm.
in terms of companies, and then there's going to be some companies that are preyed on. 1 year stock performance. He's got the 4 big names up here. We'll put that up. Compass, $2.46. Wow. I know a lot of people that bought them at $20. They're down 81 plus percent on the year. Open Door Technologies, $2.48. That market maker down almost 90% their stock. And Zillow Group, they're at $29 and change. They're down 69 plus percent. Redfin at $4 a share is down 92.35%. All right, so the real estate is in the midst of a massive financial reckoning. Del Prete says public company valuations are down by the billions, widespread layoffs, and a rush for venture-funded disruptors to conserve cash and demonstrate sustainable business models. Okay, people are burning cash at a ridiculous level. If you just dig deep into what Redfin's got for cash, or we're going to talk about Compass here in a second. It's startling. Okay, something may have to happen with some of these companies. If we look at the cash balance in Q2 of 2022, you can see that the healthiest company in the space is CoStar. And Nicole, when you think CoStar, you're not thinking residential, although we've talked about it many times. They've now dipped their toe into residential the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
I would expect them. Do you expect CoStar, Nicole, to make moves right now while there's going to be companies going on sale?
Oh, of course. Look at them. They're almost double like cash heavy than these other groups.
Their cash is up over 4 billion,
Billion.
where
Yep.
Open Door is just over 2 billion. Zillow's up over 2 billion. Now, Open Door and Zillow have that, strategic alignment happening. Shall we say a potential, stepping stone for Zillow to buy Open Door, and that would put them over 2 billion in cash, or 4 billion right
Yep.
there with CoStar if that happens. Guys, Zillow's not going anywhere. When we talk about their ability to compete with the Redfins or the brokerages and the amount of cash that they have, Zillow will sustain anything that's going to happen over the next couple of years just based off of their cash position. So Open Door and Zillow are next. First American, Rocket Loans. People are like, oh, I don't like dealing with Rocket Loans. Do you realize they've been in the business for 30 years?
I actually don't mind working with Rocket Loans. I
But
mean,
do you hear agents complain about it all the
oh,
time? Like
all
it's
the
the first thing
time.
to
I mean,
say?
I don't ever have my buyers do it, but if I'm working with a Rocket Loan on the other side, I mean, we've talked about this multiple times. They're like over communicators. So,
Yeah.
and that's again in this business, that's what you need, over communication. I've never had a problem with Rocket. I'll be honest, I didn't realize that they were in the business that long. I feel like just recently we've been hearing a little bit more about them, and
They're
consumers are using them as sort of like another like opportunity to sort of rate shop, but
They've spent a lot of money on the rebrand because obviously they were Quicken Loans
right.
for years before
Yep.
that. But yeah, they've been in the business 30 years. The owner of that company, who owns the Cavaliers, he owns some. I think he owns maybe the Red. He owns a professional team in Detroit as well. Not
Mhm.
I forget which one. Dude's not going anywhere. Dude's hard nosed billionaire. Rocket Loans, they're not going anywhere. They could get into the space when I'm talking about CoStar making moves residential. They've got Rocket Homes. Watch for them to be a player, a predator as Mike Del Preti's calling it, and not the prey. All right. Companies that are just not sitting on cash. Compass, Redfin, Anywhere, aka Realogy. If you're anywhere, are you really anywhere?
Anywhere.
Douglas Elliman, OfferPad, EXP. None of those companies are sitting on cash. Companies like Zillow, CoStar, and Rocket are predators. Okay, so we got that right. Flush with cash and opportunistically acquisitive in their outlook. So they are going to be acquiring the prey. Let's put up Compass's cash balance. Compass is a company that is going to get preyed on here. I have for more than 12 months at least been predicting this. So, Mike, welcome to the party. I've been saying this for months. Compass cash balance Q2 2021 was almost $1 billion. Fast forward to Q1 of 2023, they're at about $250 million. And you can see the chart. It is on an absolute decline. They've stopped expansion. Okay. They are burning cash. And at some point, they will run out. Nicole, have you ever seen on HBO the HBO original Too Big to Fail?
I have not seen it.
It's like the version of the movie The Big Short.
Okay.
Kind of from a different angle. They're cutting
I'll have
in
to watch it.
Yeah, Too Big to Fail. They're cutting in a whole bunch of old news clips, and then they've got all these actors like acting out certain parts, the CEOs of these major banks and all of this. And like it's amazing that back then that companies would get to like, oh, we're going to be out of money tomorrow. Like think about AIG,
right?
What happened with Lehman, what happened with a whole bunch of these banks, right? And it's like, oh, Monday, it's Friday, we're going to be out of money. We're in scramble mode. I don't know if Compass is going to wait that long or if they're positioning themselves to actually get acquired before it gets to that point. But they're not in a good position. They're burning cash at a ridiculously high level. So Del Preti's got them labeled as a prey. If a company doesn't have at least 12 months runway, they are prey. He doesn't have this in the Inman article, but if you go and subscribe to his newsletter, on his newsletter, he's got a big, huge block that says prey. If you click on that, we'll link this up in the show notes. Okay. There's a whole map, a market map of 275 real estate technology companies transforming today's housing market. We'll put that up on YouTube if you're watching. Hit the thumbs up if you like this content. If you're listening, you can go to the show notes and take a look at it. All right, so 2022 residential real estate technology landscape. There's a whole bunch of these companies, Nicole.
So many. There's so many you can't even really read them unless you zoom in.
Home listings and marketplaces. Zillow, Redfin, Realtor, Homes, Opendoor, Abode, Trulia, Casablanca, Picasso, HomeSnap, Properly, HomeLight, Zero Down, Mavoto, Alto, Entera, Playhouse, Ember. Something I can't even read.
I can't read it either.
Home listings and marketplaces. Is there room for somebody else, or do you think it's more likely somebody comes and takes market share from some of these big names, or do you think, Nicole, it's more likely Zillow, maybe Realtor, one of these companies gobbles up some of the competitors? Which is more likely?
Well, I think they're probably gobbling up their competitors.
100%.
Yeah.
Then you go into rental markets, tech-enabled brokerages, agent tools. I mean, the amount of 275 places that people can either find a home, find title and escrow, find financing, find home renovations.
It's funny. It's kind of like what we talk about with agents now too, right? We kind of always like this downtime because then you wash out all the agents that were just like onesie twosies. It sounds like that's going to be happening here with all of these blur. I mean, they're literally blurs on my screen. All of these companies.
Yeah, and Del Preti says what to watch. The name of the game for the next 6 to 18 months, to your point, Nicole, is VUCA, VUCA, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. With this type of environment, you're right. We're going to see nothing but companies acquire, merge. I'm running out of cash. I need to find a buyer. Okay. Open Door. They've got cash, but they've already strategically aligned with Zillow. They
Right.
see what is coming. Hey, by the way, if you're a team in your market who's struggling, if you're an agent whose solo business is struggling right now, do you think it's time to strategically align with somebody who's got a bigger business that can help support you over the next 12 to 18 months? See, I would argue that you should be thinking about it the same way these big companies in real estate are thinking about it.
For
Cut
sure.
costs, invest in the things that are a growth opportunity, and make the strategic alignments that are going to help your business, whether that's the right brokerage that isn't necessarily giving you a bonus, but it's giving you the support, the leads, the education that you need, or
Right.
whether it's taking your team who's struggling to pay the bills and merging with the dominant team in the market to
Right.
create the biggest team of all time.
Right.
These are things I'd be thinking about because, and this is how Del Preti ended his article. It's a Warren Buffett quote. When the tide goes out, you discover who's been swimming naked.
Hmm.
In 2023, we're going to find out which teams are naked. Who's not operating with profitability in mind? Who's not sitting on cash to ride out what's coming? We'll find out by the end of 2023. He's talking about companies, Zillow, Compass. Who's the predator? Probably Zillow. Who's the prey? It's Compass. Think about that for your own market as well.
I'm
What
now
teams, what brokerages are the predators?
I'm
Go
now
ahead.
seeing why you picked this topic. I think you've used Compass as an example quite a bit this episode.
Well, listen, I don't want people to say, Byron, you're always saying Compass is going to get bought out. That's not a bad thing, by the way.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great agents at Compass.
Yeah.
They've made some noise. They've disrupted the industry. It might not be a bad thing when they get bought out, depending on who the buyer is, right?
Right.
I mean,
Well, for sure.
if the buyer is Zillow, do people say, uh-oh, what's going on here, right? Depending on who the buyer is, depending on who their strategic alignment is when it happens, might not be a bad thing. Now, if you don't like living in that uncertainty as an agent, you've got a decision to make.
Right.
Really good article. I mean, he's really good at this stuff, breaking it down, making sense of it. Obviously, we'll link it up and check it out. And again, if you like this content, hit the thumbs up on the YouTube. Hey guys, appreciate you checking out this episode of The Real Word. If you want the full episode, go over to the Broke Agent YouTube. That's where we're hosting the full podcast. If you want to continue to see the segments broken out and the short clips, stay right here on The Real Word YouTube.